Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you would recall, and as you know, and as you're experiencing right now, and probably enjoying yourself, we are enjoying and giving thanks, and should be giving thanks, rather, to Almighty God for having been freed from slavery. I'd like to tell you without any reservation that I'm totally dissatisfied with this thing we call carnival. It's no more a festival. We have, in fact, destroyed all the morals and spiritual value of our August festival celebration. But nonetheless, we are celebrating such a situation now. And I pray to Almighty God that He'll send somebody with some spiritual aspirations that will change this vulgar affair back into giving Almighty God thanks for what has happened to us in the past years. And that is to say, being liberated, being emancipated from slavery. This is no way to thank God. But nonetheless, we are doing it, and I can't do anything about it. I must also let you know that tonight is, after tonight, we will not be back on the air until the 13th of August because of the same festivities. And of course, I pray that you enjoy them in the best possible way, and that you can, in fact, in some way, find some way to link it with praising God rather than to our own damnation. Tonight I'm going to open my show with a very serious question, and it goes back to the biblical times. And that's why I'm asking this, that's why I'm opening up this show tonight, exactly the way I'm doing it. So let me get right down to it. What is this special way? I'm going to ask Cain, whoever Cain is in the British Virgin Islands. If you can identify yourself, fine. But I'm going to say to you, Cain, where is your brother Abel? Our world has become so greedy, so selfish, so wicked, that we no longer respect each other as brothers and as sisters. We no longer express ourselves as being respectable and respectful for a neighbor. So, Cain, where is your brother Abel? Are we still being asked the same question today, ladies and gentlemen? Are we any different today from what it was in Cain and Abel's day? There's so much good in the best of us, however, so much good in the worst of us, and so much bad in the best of us, that there is no reason why the rest of us should complain about any of us. I'm not here tonight to ridicule and bring down and call down anybody in particular, but I'm here trying to get you and myself to reflect on where we came from. Which of us can cast the first stone? You remember the woman at the well? When they took her there to Jesus Christ for Him to condemn her so that she'll be stoned to death? Do we still have traitors on board or lifeline or lifeboat? Is it time to examine our horns? You remember that story that Cuthred wrote when a number of mammals were taking a trip out on sea, and the dog put on a pair of false horns and he went among them, and the scream come out, there is a traitor on board, examine the horns. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to celebrate of freedom from slavery in a little more than a week's time. But are we really and truly free? Are we free? When we reflect about our constitutional rights being abused, are we free? When we look at the fact that are we getting natural justice through our legal system? Are we not being denied to a great extent in some circumstances, in some instances, natural justice? Are we still the masters of our homes, our country? Are we in control of our social, political, and economic destiny? Are we being properly represented by our elected representatives in our social, political, economical, and developmental affairs? Above all other questions, ladies and gentlemen, do we worship Jehovah God, or are we worshiping Baal? If we had respect for God, when you go to the streets on August Monday and see the way all people out there dancing, is that a way to thank God for having brought us out of slavery? Is that a way to show our children to express gratitude to Jehovah God? Have we thrown God out of our public schools? I understand that no worship is really given him there. As when we were going to school, we had assembly every morning. We went to church every Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, within the next 4 months, we will have a general election. Are we prepared for it? How or on what grounds will you choose your candidates? On a simple party basis? On the basis of past experience with and knowledge of the candidates? That's very important. We hear a number of people saying they're not going to the polls because everybody who calls himself a politician is a crook. They've had enough of it. Are we going back there to elect crooks? Are we going to examine the horns of each elected representative carefully and see if they're the ones who will do for us what we want them to do? Are we going to elect them purely on the basis of academic qualifications, or on the basis of their general knowledge of the people's and the people's goals, wants, needs, and aspirations? Or are we going to elect them on the basis of which candidate pays you the most for your vote, whether in cash, favors, or other ways? Ladies and gentlemen, your vote is a powerful tool. It can make you or break you. It can preserve your future and your children's future. Your choice of candidates in the upcoming general election is essential to the future of our territory. Make sure you listen carefully to all the candidates and make sure you fully examine their motives. If you elect the right candidates, there can be good hopes for the future. If you elect the wrong group of candidates, disaster, destruction, and all the other thing that is evil will result. Ladies and gentlemen, when you go to the polls in the next couple of months, examine your candidates carefully. Examine the horns. There's a lot of corruption in this place, and we know about it. You all hear about it every day. As a matter of fact, I did a show a couple of weeks ago on politicians. And as we see, the general concept is that politicians are basically dishonest. As we celebrate our freedom from slavery, can we truly say that we are free? Let us ask ourselves, what is freedom? The Oxford Dictionary says in one of its meaning, two of its meaning, that freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think freely. That's one of the definitions. Another definition is that freedom is the state of being free. And a third definition from the Oxford Dictionary is that freedom is the power of self-determination. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to make a lot of noise. I'm not trying to just make a lot of words, put a lot of words together. We have a serious matter ahead of us. Election. We are going to need candidates who are going to listen to us. Candidates who are going to carry out what is important, fair, and just for us. Candidates who are going to make sure we get justice in the courts and that our constitutional rights are all preserved. Our economic, social, and spiritual life is being preserved. Now, Webster has given many more, as usual, meanings, but I've got a few from Webster here. One is that Webster states that freedom is the state or condition of being free. That's the first explanation, and that and Oxford are pretty much the same. Two, it says that freedom is the state of not being under another's control. It is the power to do, say, or think as you please. It is liberty, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of political behaviors and attitudes, freedom, independence. Freedom is independence. Being able to act without interference or control by others. Now, in addition to that, I want to determine for you citizenship. It's a legally recognized subject or national of a state or commonwealth, an inhabitant of a town or city. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to open up this show now for you to express yourselves. Do you feel that you're free? Do you feel that you're properly represented? Do you feel that there's too much corruption in our elections? Do you feel that you have control of your country, your economics, your social life, your political life, your spiritual life? These are questions you must consider daily. And in the upcoming general elections, please let your conscience be your guide. And I'm using those words as I used to hear the Honorable Gladney Fonseca use them. Let your consciences be your guides. When you go to the polls, vote your conscience. Do not let a white envelope or any other favor divert you from making a valid decision. Because when you're making your decision, you're either doing good or bad for yourselves and your children in the future. I'm going to open up this show now, and you can call And you can speak about any other thing. But I thought that today, this week, the coming week, being a celebration of liberation from slavery, being a celebration of emancipation. Look at what you've been seeing over the years. We are losing our culture, which of course we would expect that there will be changes in our culture as we develop. But I think we need to take the vulgarity out of our festival. The show is open, and please feel free to call. Please feel free to express yourself. You won't be seeing me again until the 13th of August, Saturday, the 13th of August. Ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of things that you can call in and speak about. I know a number of you have asked me to say them, but if I say them, it would appear to be melee. If you say them, we know that they're coming from the people of the British Virgin Islands, regardless to whether you are a visitor, regardless to whether you're on a work permit, regardless to whether you're a belonger, a citizen, etc., etc. We live in a world, and under a constitution, we have freedom of expression. That's why I went to the great length to explain to you, my brothers and sisters, what freedom means. Freedom, the freedom that we have here in the British Virgin Islands, is precious. And we need to make sure it does not deteriorate anymore, but that in fact it improves in quality and that we all can enjoy a full life. As you can see, the numbers on the screen, 300 1949 for calls and 300 1950 for text. This show is being made possible basically, primarily by the sponsorship of Digicel. And if you call on a Digicel phone, it's the understanding that you'll have no charges. So ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call. Speak about your festival. Speak about anything else you want to speak about. It is important that you let your voices be heard. You know, it's a serious situation. Some of us say, for instance, oh, we are not going to the polls. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that people said to me. Because when we go to the polls, they say, we're going to elect the same dishonest politicians. We're not going to get any better because all politicians are liars and crooks. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not agree with you. I do not share that view with you. Mandela spent 27 years in jail because he stood up for the rights of his people. Gandhi was persecuted and tortured for standing up for his people. Martin Luther King had his share of bitter experience because he stood up for his people. I'm not saying this now to discredit the United States of America, but during my lifetime in the United States of America, a black man could not ride in the front of a bus. During my lifetime in South Africa, a black man in his own country has been treated less than the ordinary citizen. I'm not saying that to embarrass anybody here tonight, because the world as a whole came through a series of atrocious experiences, going all the way back to Caesar and before the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Man has been moving from stage to stage. And while I'm at it, it plagues me, it tortures me, it torments me. And when I'm traveling from the British Virgin Islands to go to somewhere else, my very socks have to be searched. It tells me one thing, that we are going from one level of debasement to another. One would like to think that we are in a modern and civilized world. Just listening to the news today, in one of the European countries, I think it's Norway, where rebellious, wicked behavior has been taking place and replacing culture, replacing civilization, replacing manners. But we here in the Caribbean too are becoming very concerned about the crimes that are taking place here in the BVI. And we must not close our eyes to it. It's a serious matter. You speak your mind, please go ahead. Hello? Please speak your mind, go ahead. I'm sorry, for some reason you were disconnected. Please call again. Your call is exceptionally important. Your comments are even more important than the call. As a matter of fact, that's why you called. Please feel free to call again. It's important. Let our voices be heard. Let us lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings. Ring with the harmony of liberty, as we've been talking tonight. You speak your mind, please go ahead. Hello?
Hello, good night, Mr. Maduro.
Good night, caller.
It seems that you're the only one on the program tonight.
Yes, I don't know where my co-host is tonight.
I just want to make a little comment about what some of the prelude that you made earlier.
Yes.
I want to remind the listeners that the Virgin Islands is still a country ruled by the British government.
You're so right.
Though we may have some sort of latitude in terms of some political development,
Yes.
whatever we are doing, we have to be mindful that we are still under the British rule.
Uh-huh.
And so we have to listen and conduct our affairs
Yes.
that are inconsistent with the British government.
Yes.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And so I just want to make a point that, we don't have any misconception.
Yes.
Because until we become an independent nation, the British government has the final say in this country as to some of our developments that we want to do.
Yes.
Because if our developments are not, coinciding with theirs, they can rule otherwise.
Yes.
We had examples in Turks and Caicos, and right now the Cayman Islands, they are going through their perils.
Yes.
Anguilla had theirs recently.
Yes.
And thank God we are still in a favorable condition in the British Virgin Islands.
Uh-huh.
All right? So I just want to make that point. The second point I want to make, I heard you mention about we must have politicians who would ensure that we have justice in the court.
Yes.
I wanted to remind you that the court is a body independent of the government.
Yes.
And because of that, the justice system would have to perform independently of the politicians. So no politicians or no elected representatives can influence a judge to make a decision. The decision would have to be made based on the evidence that they are put forward before the court.
Yes.
And the jury and the judge will decide on that.
Yes, go ahead.
You make your input now.
Huh?
You can go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. That statement you made that the court is independent is true. But all politicians have the right, if they find that a judge, a magistrate, or anybody is miscarrying the law, get rid of them. They cannot go into the court and interfere with what the judge says or the magistrate says, they might not even be able to comment unfavorably in the public about what happens in the court because there's something called contempt of court. But they can make sure that the judges carry out their duties properly. I'm not going to say in which court it happened, whether the BVI or elsewhere.
I have never heard that before, but however...
No, hold a while. Hold a while. I'm going to show you one good reasons where you could get rid of judges and magistrate. It happened in a place where a private citizen took his case to the court, and because the person he took the case against was a Freemason, and the judge was a Freemason, the case was decided in favor of the Freemason. In that country, where politicians were looking out for their citizens, they can have that person dismissed by due process. So the court is independent from the standpoint of view that it is there primarily to interpret the law and to make sure justice is done. So it doesn't mean that a judge could go in there and do whatever the devil they want, and the people and the politicians must accept it. You get rid of the judge, whether it's a man or a woman.
I remember one judge said it is laughable. Because what happens, we have a judicial commission.
Yes.
And if the matters before the court is not tried inconsistent with the evidence that is put forward, and whoever party wins that case, and they find that the evidence was overwhelming, despite the case has been dismissed, they have another course of action.
Yeah.
They can go to the appellate court.
Of course you can.
And the appellate court would, based on the evidence, make a decision.
Of course, that's another way.
So it would be improper for us for any government to remove a judge or a magistrate.
I don't agree with you.
Office.
I don't agree with you. If I get in there tomorrow and I find a judge behaving that way, I'll find a way to get rid of them.
Yeah, but
Our people must not be treated like dogs.
They
are put there. No, hold a while. And this is where we go wrong. They are put there to interpret the law and execute justice. And if you find that they're not doing it, there's a way to get rid of them. You complain to the same judicial commission.
Because of the legal ethics. If a judge or a magistrate finds that the case that before them, the accused or the complainant.
The complainant and the accuser.
The complainant and the accused. If they have any sort of relationship with the case, they will recuse themselves from the case and allow someone to try the case. But in terms of removing a judge or magistrate from the bench, I don't think that is...
I don't care what you say.
I don't think that is the correct...
Nobody will go in there and abuse the smallest man or the poorest woman. And it's happening, it's happening in the world. And we need to put those judges and magistrates in their places.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what anybody say. Thank you so much for your call. It was very nice. We were able to bring out a few points, right? So these are things. You made a very good call. The caller made a very another good point, an excellent point. We are still under the control of Britain. And I want to tell everybody, even though people like to call me neo-colonialist, I praise the British government for the way it carries out its governance. I like the British laws in preference to any other. I like the system of government in preference to any other. And talking about going independent, we have got to be careful. There's nothing wrong in going independent. But if I had a say and I had an influence, I would make sure we still have a strong tie with the British government and Europe, United States, and the British Commonwealth. Independence is not a joke. Independence is a great right, and it should never be denied anybody. But when we say we are going independent, we must know how we're going to go independent. You know, today, if you see what is happening in the world, just there in Europe, 90 something or 90 people were killed by a rebel. If you or if we go independent and we don't have the right association, we will be in trouble. You speak your mind. Please go ahead. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Uh-huh.
I would like to make a comment, one or two comments.
Please.
I would like to tell you, Mr. Maduro, that when the horns were examined, the agouti lost his tail. And if horns are examined, you and I might be among the agoutis that lose our tail.
You serious like that?
I would like to join you, though, on a more serious note. I would like to join you in encouraging people here.
Repeat what you just said.
I would like to join you in encouraging people here.
Yes.
So go to the polls election day.
There's nothing more important than that.
If you are in a position to be registered, register.
You're quite right,
Carl. You might wake up election morning wanting to go to vote, and you're not registered. And let me tell the people listening something. Over the world, people have been killed for the right to vote.
I wish you could say that again. I would like to hear you say that again. That's why the right to vote is so precious.
People have been killed. And in the big United States, it is in the late 60s that people of my color and yours, I wouldn't say you're nearly white.
Man, stop that.
People of my color were not able to vote. They were not even able
I love your support for the effort.
And I am encouraging, I don't care for whom you vote. The thing is to stop talking nonsense, but you are not going to the polls because politicians are this and that. If you know some are corrupt, then don't vote for them. Vote for those who you believe are pure, holy, and have good report.
Right.
And I don't know where you're going to find them. But for God's sake, get up off all you behinds and register, and election morning go and exercise that right that is so precious. The only thing that equalizes the richest man in this country with the poorest man in this country is the right to vote and death. And that even though equalize them sometimes, because some of them I can't Owen Bola had told me, some of them even don't get 6 feet. So they're not equalized. But I would like to encourage the people in this country to stop talking your foolishness, but you are not going to the polls. Then you become a part of the problem.
Exactly.
Vote and make yourself a part of the solution.
Carry out your legitimate responsibility.
And Mr. Edmund, remember how the agouti lost his tail because the horns were examined. Okay.
Thank you, caller. I so appreciate that caller's call. You understand? Because lots of people living today do not really realize it took thousands of years for certain people to vote. At one time, only property owners could vote. At another time, women couldn't vote. And it took a lot of time before these classes of people were able to vote. So I want you to understand that that caller has made a most important call, and I hope that each and every one of you who heard the caller go to the polls and do as she says, because she's given you advice next to none. So here we are. And another point she made that I'm very appreciative of. It is not my responsibility or my business who you vote for. That is your business. When you go to the polls, you vote your conscience. You vote for the person that you believe can do or will do what is required of them. And this is why the vote is a secret ballot. Nobody has to know who you vote for. You don't have to tell anybody who you vote for. That is your own personal business. And it's a tremendous responsibility that you should not let go by like that. So we're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be right back to you after the break.
Want to save money and still maintain that style? Well, switch to Digicel, the bigger, better network. Buy a BlackBerry Curve 8520 for $99.99 and get 3 months free internet access on our selected plans. Digicel, the bigger, better network. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
When you need total insurance coverage, Caribbean Insurers Limited is here for you. Backed by A-rated companies, Caribbean Insurers offers coverage for auto, home, marine, health and life, contractors all risk, employers liability, and professional indemnity. Our life and health coverage is the best. Our in-house claims service beats all the competition. We cover you for disasters such as fires, hurricanes, and floods. We have a special deal for drivers under the age of 25, so switching to Caribbean Insurers can save you money. For the best claim service, fast and efficient customer service, stability, and longevity, Caribbean Insurers is a must for every household. We also compare our home insurance policies with any other policies for free. Caribbean Insurers has a wealth of insurance knowledge for almost 40 years in the insurance business and over 500 years total staff experience. Trust us to provide you with insurance when you need it. So, stop by our office today or give us a call and we'll come to you. Call 494-2728.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Premier for something that he has done, not for me alone, but for the people of the British Virgin Islands. The owners of Domino's have invested well over $1 million or maybe $2 million in this country. And they were being held hostage by some group or person. And I was trying to get Domino's to operate in the BVI for a long time. Unfortunately, I didn't. But however, just last week, the Honorable Premier approved a trade license for Domino's after I made the application on their behalf. And I want to openly, publicly thank the Premier for doing that. Why? From the time I was a little boy, I know the Pickerings running a gas station. And because of the unfair competition that we have here in the BVI right now, they have to be bringing in gasoline and diesel in what we call Bowsers. 6,000 and 10,000 tanks. And this is not moving forward. And because of the bad business practices, the bad business ethics, again, I want to thank the Honorable Premier for granting Domino's that license. It means that the other local gas stations will be able to work with Domino's and get fuel at a reasonable price. And as a result, you, the population, would also, because of that ability, be able to get better service. What has been happening here in this country all the time is that there's a race, there's a plight for monopoly. There is a law in the United States called the antitrust law, which prevents people seeking monopolies. In Britain, it is called the Bad Business Principles Act. So I would not have felt good going home this afternoon, this evening, without saying, Honorable Premier, I thank you very much for what you have done. And I'm not only going to say it on the air tonight, I'm going to actually write the Premier a letter thanking him for what he has done for Domino's and what he has done for the rest of the people here in this British Virgin Islands who've been selling fuel from the time I was a little tot. Thank you, Mr. Premier.
Edmund, we missed a call, so
yeah.
I'd like the caller to call back.
Call back, please, yes.
Please call back.
I couldn't break my effort in thanking the Premier, because I think it's a worthy cause. I think it's a cause that the public should know he has done a good job in that respect.
Yeah, good evening. You have speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
You just had on my good friend, one of my good friends from Wottingara. Clearly, he was not to my meeting last week, Sunday, because most of the things that he just raised were answered. But I didn't call for that now, good gentlemen. I called to speak a little bit about the gratuities. According to the law, the gratuities, first of all, belong to the employee. And the employer can deduct up to 7.5% of it. They don't have to do that. They can deduct 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, but up to 7.5% of the gratuities can be deducted for management purposes, administration costs, etc.
Caller, that must be changed. Any sensible government coming in power in the next government will change that. If it belongs to the employees, who gave and why should the employer have the power to deduct anything out of it?
Yes. Well, the balance of 92.5%, if the employer deducts the 7.5% for administration purposes, then should be distributed to the employees who should form a committee and determine who should get out of that. That is the problem. And the problem that the employees at that particular business are having now is that they have no committee. It is the committee which they have to set up.
The committee of the employees.
The committee of employees must determine who among them should get what percentage of the trunk.
Thank you for that information.
Yes.
That is very, very good information. But you would agree with me that tip belongs to the employee, and they don't have to share it with anybody.
No, well, it will
that law must be changed. Over my dead body, I would like to see that exist.
Yes, it will cost the employer something, because you see the proper way for the monies to be distributed. First of all, is for the employer to say what amount of money is being distributed, what figure has been brought forward, what figure is going to be carried forward now, what is the value of 1 point, how many points are we distributing, and so on and so forth. Now, that calls for proper administration, and that is why the employer is allowed to deduct a certain percentage.
No, I don't agree with it. The employer has a price structure for his goods, and he must live with that. He can raise the cost of his drinks, his food, and everything whenever he wants. This tip belongs to the worker, and he has no call sharing it with them.
Yes.
That is my personal belief, and that's what I would stand for.
Well, that's my little contribution, gentlemen.
Thank you for it.
And Carla, this is in accordance with the 2010 Labor Code?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Thank you for that information, caller.
Thanks.
Yes.
Good. So you see, Courtney, we must stop at this. I can't understand these things. From a long time, we've been talking about employers taking out the tips out and doing what they want with it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, giving the employee difficulties.
Yeah.
It should not happen. Anyway, it looks like we're getting down close.
And since we're in the Emancipation Month, or not month, but what do you say?
Emancipation period,
because it's July, August, right?
Yeah.
So it's the 2 months. And we must always remember what has happened.
Yes.
And we must be mindful to tell others what have happened,
yes,
and to make sure it don't happen again.
Right.
Good evening. You're speaking mind. Please turn your television down.
Good evening.
Yeah, please turn your TV down.
Good evening.
Good
yes,
evening.
good evening.
Good evening, Speaker Mind.
Good evening, caller.
You speak your mind now.
I here calling in to let you all know that the caller who said I want the hospital in Wottingara, and it should have been there already. I believe in that. This hospital should have been there over 50 years ago.
Yes.
And I don't feel no representative should be represented
by the people of this country if they don't put a hospital in Virgin Garden. It definitely need a hospital.
From a long time.
Okay, good night.
Caller, you made a solid point.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, caller.
If people would remember that outside our small local hotels, Virgin Garden, Little Dixbury was the first major hotel to be built in the BVI. You got a caller?
No, that's the same call.
And in fact, that the people in Virgin Garden needed a hospital 50 years ago. We must be lucky that nothing happened.
Not only that, Edmund, but
you need it up there.
Theodore Faulkner.
Yes.
When he came to Tortola and raised the point that we needed a legislature, it was because...
It was over health care.
It was over health
when
care.
His wife was given bad treatment in the hospital down here.
Bad treatment and the distance she had to travel from Anegada to Tortola to get bad treatment. Okay, so this is nothing.
So you need a proper clinic in Anegada too.
We need proper healthcare service.
We need proper healthcare service in Anegada, Virgin Garden, and Jocelyn Dyke.
Yeah, and we
particularly since we have this tourist season, and you see, we may need more than one marine. What do you call it again?
What the
ambulance
the marine ambulance?
Because we have a lot of boats and so on the sea. But I still agree with the caller that the hospital is number one. You need that first. Or, if necessary, put two of them together then, if you can afford it. But the hospital is essential.
And in these tight economic times, where monies are not really flowing the way they were flowing before.
We would like to have it flow.
As we had it flowing.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you have to prioritize.
Yeah.
You have to put your priorities straight. You should do the things that are necessary now.
Right.
Not the pie in the pie in the sky ideas.
Exactly.
You know, the pie in the sky ideas could come again later on when you get a lot of money.
Yeah.
But right now, you should put your house in order and do the things that are necessary.
Right.
To ensure that people...
And a lot of tourists still go to Virgin Garden.
To ensure that people have a certain quality of life.
Yes.
Good health.
Right.
You know, and
a big percentage of tourists go to Virgin Garden.
Of course, but you're saying the tourists, but what about the local people? I
understand that, but tourism is where we make our money, and that's why we have to stress the tourist side of it.
Okay. Good evening, you're free speaking mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello.
Good evening.
You're live. You're
Hello,
live.
you're
right
loud
ahead.
and clear.
Speak your mind.
Hello.
Hello, speak your mind.
Good night, Mr. Maduro.
Good night, caller.
Good night.
How are you guys? Mr. DeCastro, you're looking well lovely tonight.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yes, I just want to briefly say something about the 15% tip.
Yes.
Remember, some of the restaurants are paying $4 an hour.
Yes.
And the workers are depending on the tip to make up the $4 an hour. First, at the House of Assembly, they were saying $7 an hour. Some of the companies not agreed to pay the $7 an hour. So therefore, they put on the 15% in order to make up the tips. They say work harder so you can get more tips and you make up the tips. So why they now that the House of Assembly passed that agreement that they must take out 7.5% to pay the water bill and the light bill. Remember, when you get that 15% from the guest, a gift from the guest, you are putting that towards the light bill, or your water bill, and your house rent. House rent is $950 per month. Remember, grocery. Remember, light bill, water bill. What in heaven means the House of Assembly can allow that, and the Labor Department is allowing for that company to take away that money from the worker.
It's actually taken away from the workers what is theirs.
But Colin, in addition...
But Mr. Maduro, how can you pay a light bill? You have your light bill too.
Exactly.
And you're going to pay their light bill too. Which means, I know the island is listening. They're working for you. You're not working for them. They're working for you.
I'll tell you one thing.
You're
if I can do it,
for them to give you a job.
If I can do it, that would be change.
A stroke of a pen.
I can pay my light bill.
With the stroke of a pen, that would be changed.
And I can pay my light bill, and you're getting thousands of dollars.
There are some of the same post staff here now who can't pay their rent. They can't pay their rent.
And Carla,
exactly. And the people are living below their needs.
Below the average, below the
10 years in slavery when they are trying. I'm so glad that the Spirit lead you to say what you were saying in the first place. Right. The people are going back 10 years behind instead of go forward.
Exactly.
They're living in house rent for 20-something years. And that fella who come on and said about the 15%, he is so deadly wrong. And I think he's in the same committee that approved that thing in House of Assembly to say that. Because that's the paper the people them get.
Yes.
That is the same. It was so right. But if House of Assembly gonna watch that paper and pass it, my God, and the thing about the election is coming up, I hope that people make the right choice, and I hope the people are listening.
But you need to add something else to it. The members in the House of Assembly are getting $2,000 a month to live in their own house.
Exactly. Mr. Demar, you heard the people of the DVI. You are speaking. I hope everybody is holding on to the radio, the television, and then listening to what you are saying.
I hope so.
I hope what they are saying. There's a farmer community. We will go in the farmer community. As you see, some people are so coward because I said it already. If we farmer community, you know what's a community? That's what I said in the meeting. You know what's a community? We can move you out if we farmer community.
Yes.
But they are coward people.
They're covered. You are right.
People. But Carla, it takes one to stand up, and one will stand up in the four corners of this nation. It takes one to stand up. One went in, and the rest follow.
But Carla, in addition to what you're saying, sometimes in the off season, they say that the hotel is closed or the restaurant is closed, and
they lay you off for the period of time. All of that you suffer.
All of that.
But if they lay you off for a period of time, they are more mouth and more hands to come in.
Exactly.
You understand? Because when they lay you off, you understand me? And this already on the radio. This is a good thing here right now. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yes, Carla, thank you so much for such a wonderful call.
Welcome.
But we got to wind up now, you know? And we will be back on the 13th of August. Thank you so much for your call. Yes, Courtney, I think we better wind up now and let's see if you could.
If you could get somewhere with it winding up because the phone probably still ringing anyways, but I know we need to bring the show to a wrap up, as we usually like to call it at this time of the night. You did your introduction, of course. We were given some words of wisdom from the late, great Bob Marley. Free yourself from mental slavery, for only we can free our mind. We talked a bit about, where a caller called and talked about the festival Tuesday Sports that's going to be at the waterfront. And he said that they have raw sewage going in the water there. So, we hope that the persons who are in charge would pay attention to this and ensure that we don't have any accidents, because we wouldn't want people going there swimming
and get contaminated.
And get contaminated in the sewage water. We had a lot of conversation about the marine ambulance.
Yes.
And of course the wants and needs of Virgin Gorda.
Yes, and particularly the hospital.
And particularly as it relates to healthcare management.
Yes.
I like to refer to it as healthcare management because, there are a number of aspects of it that, and a number of different scenarios. So healthcare management is crucial for the sister islands.
That's
not one, all of them.
All of them.
All four, all three of them.
Right.
That are the bigger ones, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, and Josh Van Dyke.
Yes.
And we went at great length about those things. We talked about the situation with the employees and the 15% or whatever percent, 17%, the tips.
Yeah.
And the fact that it belongs to the employee.
It belongs to the employees.
And although we heard different views, right? We're hearing a number of different views about 7.5% and...
Well, the Constitution, the laws makes it possible for the employer to take out up to half of it.
Up to half of it? No, man, it says 7.5%.
7.5%. Well, in the case that we know about. But 7.5%, which is in fact abusive as far as
no, the 7.5% is of the 100%, you know.
I know.
Yeah. So
7.5% is half of it. That's what's happening with the exact case that was brought to us tonight.
Okay.
They they add 15% on, and they're taking out 7.5%.
And paying the light bill and
paying the light bill and things like that.
And the water bill.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think you made your point pretty clear. I made my point pretty clear. You know, and like I said to you before, I think persons in the hotel and restaurant and bar industry, they're not paid a real you know, big salary.
They're specifically paid a small
salary. They're paid a very small salary
because of the tips.
Because it is expected.
So to deprive them of the tips would be wrong.
Would be wrong, I think.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Well, Edmund, on that note, I don't have any more wrapping up to do other than to tell everyone to have a safe and enjoyable festival. And we'll see you on the 13th. On the 13th of August. And as I usually say, I would like to say, God bless these Virgin Islands and the people that live in it, and good night.
Good night.